All right, welcome to Man and Dad. I'm your host, Tally. And again, we have Joel here and we have Derek. Today's topic is going to touch on fatherless fathers. So, this is a serious topic, actually. We're discussing this topic because, as a father, it's really a hands-on learning experience for someone without a father. So, these, it's us three fathers, and we're trying to, we're just portraying our thoughts upon you all as to how, our process in being a father could have been helped or easier, or, just what we're going through without our fathers in our fathering process. In my personal experience raising my son, as far as, not having my dad around, my dad died when my son was like 1.5, and just really growing up without, I'm not going to say without my father was around, but not around as much as you would, want a father, or you would, the ideal situation that you would want for your father to be. So, I'm not going to, definitely won't bash my dad. My dad did the best that he could do with what he had. But, the way he raised me, that's not the way I would want to raise my son. I'm pretty much involved in my son's everyday, if not every day, definitely weekly activities. Anything that he got going on or whatnot, I'm pretty much involved, and I'm really trying to figure out how easier this process would have been if, my dad could have been more involved with my young growth process, or, just even now as a grown man trying to grow my son, if he could give me advice or on things that he felt like he messed up on, or that he would do differently, or how he did it, again, yeah, this is, we'll probably discuss a wide range of issues when it comes to this topic, from each person. So just follow along and bear with us. So, all right, Derek.
Yeah, man. I this topic is, again, like you said, it's a serious, sensitive topic. I mean, growing up, specifically for me, I grew up without a father. Growing up without a father, you're teased at certain times, like, oh, where's your dad, or blah blah blah. And after a while, you kind of get numb to it. Well, whatever. But then as you get older. And during that stage, as you're growing, you kind of resent your father because you're teased that they're not there to, you can't come back at those people, in any way, or clap back, as they say. You can't really clap back at them because, what they're speaking is the truth. And, but after a while, you start kind of resenting that that your father wasn't there. You start to hate him to a certain point. But as you get older, you kind of just like you can either continue to harvest those feelings, or you can kind of just let them go. And luckily enough for me, I had an uncle who was around. He was like just a really, stern type of uncle. And anytime my mom or my aunts would get trouble out of me or my cousins, they'd be like, we're gonna tell our uncle. And it was like, okay, we kind of straighten up. So we kind of knew a reference and a reverence. And a psychological barrier, not necessarily a barrier, but a psychological alarm that went off when another man would get involved in your life. And what I'm saying, so you kind of had that sacred reverence of a man in your life, but you never really touched on it. And for me, like I never knew my father. I never even knew his name until about a few months ago. And for me, it was just, I always thought that me and my brother, we shared the same father, and come to find out we didn't. And it was an awkward conversation trying to get that out of my mom, because I didn't want to come at my mother wrong, or like, hey, I don't know my father, who is my father, or there's so many things that you can be taken out of context when you're asking that type of question to your mom or whatever, because I didn't know what kind of pain that she bared, in that situation. I was just like, hey, I'm looking at my birth certificate, but and it says that X and Y Z is on here, but she's like, no, he wasn't it, and it's like, okay, well, who is? And she's like, oh, this person is, and it was like, oh wow, okay, I never knew that. That just opened up my mind to like a whole new thing. And it was just like, wow, like I couldn't even put a name to my father, you know what I'm saying? But let alone put a face to him. But now that I have a name, it's like, okay, I can kind of find a little bit of comfort in that. Hopefully, I would like to meet him one day if he's still alive. And if not, just meet like people that knew him, see what he was like. And for me personally, I think that no matter where I am in life, no matter how much my father or a lack of father that I had in my life, I do feel no matter where I'm in my life, whether good and bad, like I owe 50% of that to my mom, and I owe the other 50% to my father, whether I want to recognize it or not. Whatever his DNA is, whatever he gave to me, I'm still carrying that with me. I can't completely eradicate the fact that I had a father, even though he wasn't in my life, equate to where I am in life. I can't just thank my mother for everything that she's done for me. Now that I am a father, and I didn't see that before. I could only, when Father's Day came around or when Mother's Day came around, you kind of never, I kind of never celebrated Father's Day because, again, I didn't meet my father. So we would just celebrate Mother's Day and just continue to go about it. I would pretty much ignore Father's Day because I didn't know my dad. But now that I am a father, I can see that there are just certain things in life that, as a father, a mother could never do. And I'm not saying that women can't do what men do. I'm saying that as a man who needed a father and never had one, I can see like in my son's life now that, there are certain things that I can teach him or I can say to him or I can, certain ways I can behave around him.
That your mother couldn't do.
That my mother couldn't teach me.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, like you said earlier in the podcast, it's like learning on the job. Like there are certain things that I'm learning, for the very first time. And it's scary, but at the same time, it's like I have to kind of tread through these unknown waters in effort to make sure that my son knows, how to do these things and how to behave and how to treat a woman and how to, act a certain way and provide a certain way. Because again, it was just like I don't know how to, be chivalrous to a woman unless somebody told me to, right? And again, I, not having a father was just like that idea just completely went over my head. And that's tying into like in our communities as just, as black people, we don't have a father in the household. So, there's this perception that, black men, we don't treat our kids nor our women as well. That's probably because we never seen our fathers or someone that we looked up to treat a woman well. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to learn these things for the first time, and it's just a sheer just flip of a coin. We're just like, well, I mean, I don't know what to do when it hit the fan. So that being said, it was just again, it's me learning on the job it's very, very, it's scary, but also I see the importance of it. So there's just certain things that I just have to muscle through. And as a man, we're also taught not to express ourselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're taught not to, you got to be strong. You got to, stick your chest out. You got to, make sure that nobody sees the weakness in you. And I think that's a flaw on us. I think that, as men, we should be able to share ideas and fears with each other. Like, man, listen, I don't know what to do. Because if we had a dad, we can look up to a father.
That's who you would be talking to.
We would be talking to. You know what I'm saying? We would look up to a dad like, Dad, I don't know what to do in this situation. He'd be like, well, son, you can do X, Y, and Z. And I remember, real talk, actually looking up to like girlfriends in the past. I remember looking up to their fathers, like just like, dang man, like he's there in the household. Like, what can I learn from him? What kind of questions can I ask him? Because again, like he's there and I don't have it. And if anything, if I wanted to, be in, his daughter's life or that girlfriend at that time. If I want to be in her life, I can learn from him. Like, hey, how did you ended up, how did you stay in love for 20 years? How did you stay with the same woman for, 30, 40 years? And how did you do this? And it's just like, I could have got all those questions then. And
when these type of issues came up, how did you handle it?
Yeah.
How can you handle it? Different perspectives. I definitely see that.
Yeah. So Again, man. I mean, it was just for me, it was just a shot in the dark, man. And it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, and even to this day, man, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. I'm hoping that I'm making the best decision for my children, for my wife. But I'm just, again, I don't have the answer still, and that's because, again, I'm learning on the job, and I don't have really much men to ask these questions. So
Yeah.
It's pretty real, man. I mean, I guess I went through. I mean, I don't know. I guess I lost my father a little bit later. I mean, it seems like you guys like didn't really know you guys' father at all. My dad was around, but he lived in Chicago, right? And we lived in Atlanta, so we would spend summers up there. But then around the time I was like 8 or 9, he got sick and he ended up dying. So, I mean, from that point on, it was like, you know, from that like after that, it's like when, you know, when you hit 10 and, you know, you go into your teenage years, that's when I feel like you need your father the most, you know what I mean? Because, like, I was so confused about everything, you know what I mean? Like to the point where I'm in elementary school lying about being a virgin because I think that's the thing to do. Like, I thought it was uncool to be a virgin because I didn't fucking know, because I didn't have anybody to really talk to me about that, because, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna talk to your mom about that. You know, like, and, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I had uncles, right? But like, it's different. You know what I mean? They're not like, they don't live with you. I mean, they don't gotta really raise you. Like, you know, they kind of they're more like supplemental. You know what I mean? Parents. Like, so like when your parents outsource. You know, my mom outsourced certain tasks to them. Like, but I mean, in general, like, I missed out on a lot of lessons. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things that, like, I didn't have that source to go to for a lot of things that I wanted to know, and things I had to figure out for myself, and things I had to go through, and like, yo, this ain't really the way it is, you know, and I'm learning from society, which is completely fucked up, you know, and like, and that's where I'm getting my, like, cues about how to be a man about, especially like our black culture, like that, where I just look up the statistic, 57% of African Americans grow up absent their father. 57%.
That's huge.
That's huge compared to 20% like Europeans. That's nuts. Like, that is absolutely crazy, you know. And like, when you consider that, you know what I mean, and we consider like what that lack of a family structure does to a person's psyche, you know what I mean, like, and how confused it leaves them, and how, you know, a confused youth can go in any fucking direction that they're influenced to go into. Like, it's really no wonder that, like, you know, a lot of our black youth are so, like, into some nigga shit, you know what I mean? Like, or doing whatever the fuck they doing, because, like, who's guiding a lot of these kids, you know? And
they're receiving some type of affirmation, and that's something that we needed as like a youth. Like, but
where they're getting it from, a lot of it's not very good sources.
It's not a good source, but it's still affirmation in the same.
Still affirmation.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
which kids, like, I mean, with the youth, crave that affirmation. You know what I mean? No matter where they get it from.
Like, hey, come here, little homie, let me take you under the wing. You know what I'm saying? Like, something like that for somebody who don't know that dad. That's probably the best thing that they can get in the world. Now, if that person is corrupted in some type of way and they end up go doing something stupid or something wrong, then, you know, they based all of their actions off of a false, you know, affirmation. But it was still the affirmation that they needed at that time, which is something that, you know, a father would give to their kids, not just their mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, good job, son, or hey, you did a good job with this, man. Look at you so strong.
And
you know,
for some reason, that feels a lot better coming from your father than it does your mother. Not to say that your mother opinion doesn't count for you as a boy child, but when it comes from your father and your father say something like that, you be like, yeah, you did something. You feel really
with you well.
Yeah,
exactly. It's good, and I also feel like it's because, like, you kind of touched on it, right? Like, you know, I feel like because, like, not growing up with the father, like, kind of conditions you to, like, not really know how to be emotionally vulnerable, you know what I mean, towards guys, like, which I mean, and like, you know, like no homo, but I'm talking about, like, just learning stuff from them. Like, it's hard to humble yourself, like, you know, to another man, like, if you didn't have that father who you're humbling yourself to your entire life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right. So, Like it just kind of affects everything. It makes you. I feel like it makes you like kind of closed-minded. You know what I mean? But like more as a defense mechanism because like you need to. You know, you need to kind of like compensate for that. You know, the shit that you were lacking. Like you know, for most of your life, and like. You know, you kind of had to learn everything on your own. Like, you know, a lot of, like, huge lessons on your own. So you got to, you know, like, in order to keep that, like, it's almost, it's not, I don't want to say it's a facade, but, like, I mean, in order to keep that kind of, like, I don't know, confidence going that you were built from, like, you know, everything that you did, like, becoming a man yourself, you know, like, you kind of got to, it makes you want to shun away from advice from other men, you know, like, because...
No, absolutely, man.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
even like you said, just that vulnerability. Even saying "I love you" to like another dude, it's just like nigga, am I gay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's we shouldn't think like that, but we're conditioned to because like it's like, well, nobody ever told me, like no other man ever told me that he loves me. Like, and genuinely just like, yo, I love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it didn't mean nothing weird.
And it didn't mean nothing weird about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been so much different coming from, like, your father saying, like, you know what, son, I love you. And it was just like, he just loves me. You hear from your moms all the time, you know, I love you. And that's why I feel that, you know, if somebody, like, if a family member, you're on the phone with a family member, and you're like, oh, hey, okay, I love you, you know, bye. You know, I don't think you have a problem with saying it to like another woman, but if a dude, like one of if your brother or
shit,
your
I feel
cousin,
it now. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Like,
when I'm speaking to one of my male relatives, I just
I
do love you, but I can't just say it to you.
Because you just had like this weird thing. And
it's crazy y'all say that, right? Because like my brother, probably like a year ago, he said, "Yo, man, we don't say I love you enough, man. You know, like we know we love each other, but like." You know, every time we get off the phone with mom, right? Like it's I love you. Every time we get off the phone with our aunt, you know what I mean? It's I love you, bye, you know, whatnot. But like when we talk to each other, it's like yo, we don't ever really say that, man. You're like yo, Joe, I don't say I love you enough, man. Yo, I love you, bro. You know what I mean? And so he say that like when we say that like, every time we get off the phone now, just because like. I don't know. I mean, just so we like we let each other know. I mean, we know, right? Like we got your friends. You know what I mean? That like you got love for them. Like you know they got love for you. But like I mean, have you ever said to any of those friends? You know, like so it's like, and I feel like it has to do with that. You know, whole like you know. That a male emotional shit that you could lack if you don't grow up without a father. But and then also. I feel like because 57%, that means most males grow up without a father. Most African American males grow up without a father, so they kind of set that precedent. You know what I mean? Of like what's what in the African American culture. You know what I mean? So even if you know you do have that father saying I love you or whatnot, you know, like some like because they're gonna fall into the rest of the majority won't say that. You know what I mean? Even to their like you know. Even to the males that they care a lot about because
they're kids.
You know what I mean? Like you know, even as an adult, because like they were conditioned as that as an adult. You know what I mean? Like they were conditioned like that way as kids. Like and then their fathers were conditioned that way. You know what I mean? To not give up that love because like maybe a lot of them grew up without a father. Like I mean, this fatherless phenomenon started like you know I think like 2 generations ago. You know? Yeah.
Again, I said this on the first episode. Goddamn government and drug interference in the black family structure. Right. That shit fucked a lot of things up within the black family structure.
It's just all tactics, man. Like, you know, before the drugs, they would just like, you know, when black people were starting their own communities, you know, and trying to like build these cities independent of the rest of the country and stuff, like they would go and burn them shits down. You know what I mean? Like they would go and lynch people, you know what I mean? They would like right after slavery, they put all these black people like into prison, you know what I mean? Like to get free labor out of them, you know what I mean?
In return, this is one of the issues that we are having with now, or even in the previous generation, with male figures raising their kids or you know being a part of their kids' lives or whatnot. So. Fathers not being around because of whatever past events or things like that, it's really put a hard, I don't want to say, it's basically, right now we don't have an example to lead by, so we're learning on the fly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, women, bear with us, man. You know, a lot of us right now, what I see compared to the past generation, the fathers right now that grew up without fathers, most of us don't want that same thing for our kids.
Right.
So we're going above and beyond, or it don't even have to be above and beyond. We're doing what a father is supposed to do to play an active role in our kids' lives. So we might not make the best decisions. We might not create the best actions, but we have the best intent for our kids because we don't want them to suffer through what we suffered through.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like most people are that way, right? Like, you know, any sane, good person is going to like have the best intent for their kids. They're going to want to do the best for them. They're going to want them to be in a better situation than they were in, right? But I feel like the disadvantage we're in is that like we didn't have that example, you know what I mean, to learn from, and to learn from their mistakes and what they did good, you know what I mean? Like, we just got our moms, you know what I mean? We know what they did, but what about, you know, what about the dad part? You know, like that's, it's important to have that history so you don't repeat, like, you know, what they did. Like, if they did something wrong, and also if they did something right, it's important to have that example. You know what I mean? So you have a model to look up to, and you could maybe even improve it. But like, if you don't have that, then you're at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? And you're just playing catch up.
Huge
and
disadvantage.
It's like you know, it's like if you start on the job and you didn't go to college. You know what I mean? Versus somebody that studied for 4 years for that same job and they started doing it. Like, you know, the person who just started doing it and didn't go to college could turn out to be a better employee and be better at that job, but they're at a major disadvantage.
They have to work a lot harder.
They're going to have to work a lot harder, and because they're at a major disadvantage. They don't have that educational background. You know what I mean? They don't know what they're doing. Like neither does the person really coming out of college, but you know, they have a better base point than the person like who didn't like go to have any type of training. They just jump straight into it. Like, you know, this is something I need to do, something I want to do, something I'm passionate about. But, you know, nobody trained me to do this. You know what I mean? I didn't have any positive example for this. So, like,
this made it work.
And this is why we as a society, as a black family, as a black society, we have to be consciously aware of the disadvantage that we are at. Because while men are, you know, growing up and learning on the fly, there's also a lot of daughters who did not have fathers in the household.
Yeah.
So they're also learning how to deal with a black man or a black father or a black structure when it comes to family.
Yeah. And like, and it's so crazy, right? Because some of them become such of this independent, got to get this money mind state that they just willing to do whatever for it, right? Like, and they end up working in fucking strip clubs or like, you know, on like Pornhub or some shit, like, you know, or like, you know, those are extreme examples, but like really doing something to where like they're devaluing themselves like as women, you know what I mean?
Or not even necessarily that far, but when they do find somebody who actually wants to create that family structure, they don't know how to deal with it.
They don't know how to
deal with it. There's that too.
Because they're just like us. They learning on the fly just like we are.
They're learning on the fly.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were at a disadvantage too. Like they never had that male affirmation saying like, you know, oh hey, look at my pretty little girl. Oh, look at this. Look at daddy's girl, and she never understood.
Or they never seen how their mom dealt with a husband or a father or man in the household.
Or they seen their mom dealing with a bunch of men. You know what I mean? Or they seen their mom dealing with some guy who ain't shit. You know what I mean?
Or who just keeps leaving.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
They don't have any type.
And they feel like that's a level of normalcy where, you know, and they kind of accept that as something like, you know, like as a baseline where like, you know, that should be like, you know, fucking red flag territory, black flag, like get the fuck out of there, you know, like when certain shit is going on. But if you've seen that in your home growing up, like you really, like how do you not feel like that's normal, you know, like if that's what you know, like that's what normal is relative, like it's completely relative what somebody thinks is normal, you know. So I mean, like this shit, like all, it's a vicious fucking cycle, man.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to break it. You know, we us as fathers, especially, I feel like the new generation of fathers, we grew up without the fathers. We don't want that for our kids. We're trying to break that cycle, and you know, we kind of know how to do it with our kids. But if you really want to look at it, with no father in the household, we don't know how to really deal with a wife or a girlfriend in the household.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, again, it's all a learning process, man. So
even down to your finances, man. I mean,
sheesh.
like, you know, again, you never had a father figure. Your mom, you know, maybe you may have talked to your mom. Your mom's like, hey, save your money or do this or say, you know, do that. But, you know, it wasn't applicable at that time. You're just like, well, why am I saving money? It's just like, you know, it's just money or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, it would have been nice to have your father say, hey, this is why, you know, this is why you save money to do X or Y or Z. Or, you know, if anything, you ever have a rainy day, this is what you would do that for. I feel that, you know, 'cause we always had that man-to-man talk. When you always had a man-to-man talk, you knew it was going to be some things that may have been said that may not, you know,
be appropriate
for you know, everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, we missed out on all those talks. Like, again, so we're literally having our man-to-man talks right now, you know, with each other, and we're trying to figure stuff out. And one thing that I think that, you know, growing up, we had the generation of, like, you know, we had the Cosby Show, we had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we had Family Matters, we had like TV shows where they were like 2-parent households, they were black.
And that's the fucking, that shit kills me about this show, fucking Blackish. Like, what the fuck? Like, if you have a 2-family household, they're successful and they're good, like, I mean, that's ish. You can't just be black. You know what I mean? Like, like, yo.
I never did like that title.
People don't fucking catch on to that shit, but I swear, like, that title.
I never did like that title,
like,
bro.
I don't care, yo. If they got good messages, like, you know, it's a good show, like, fuck that.
It's like, what, they're kind of black because they're in a 2-parent successful household?
I swear to God, yo,
like,
I feel like that's the whole premise of it, man.
I honestly, I agree with it. I think that it is, but I think that they're trying to come at it from a different angle and say, like, hey, you know, our title is called Blackish, but look at us, like, we are flipping that title on his head. It doesn't just mean that, oh, you know, we're the exception. We're starting to bring up a new generation of this is how the normal is going to be within a two-parent household. But yeah, like, but I was saying, like, you know, we grew up with shows like we grew up with shows with the Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We seen, like, oh wow, you know, they had a 2-parent household there, and honestly, that was kind of like my parenting right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was like psychologically, yo, like, what would Bill Cosby do to Theo if Theo did this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm asking myself questions like that, you know, most other people don't have to ask because, you know, their father is like right there. So, you know, I feel like, you know, some of those were for our benefit. You know, those shows, like those early on shows. You know, so.
Yeah, man. But, you know, you see what happens to a positive black figure that does something like that, and then he tries to go mainstream. Like,
he's taking it.
Yo, he's going there. He's going through it right now. And the thing is, yo, we don't really know. Yeah. Like, we don't really know if Bill Cosby did whatever to all these women. Like, you know, like,
man,
it just seems like
different topic.
That's a whole different thing, right? It just seems so coincidental to me. Right as you're trying to buy NBC, all this stuff came out.
I don't know, man, but shit, you got 40-something women that come out.
Hey, man.
And I don't think 40-something women that's gonna come out gonna all be lying.
What if they all get $100,000? What if they all get $1 million?
Man, hell no. I still don't think of
40. All 40 of those women had a price. I bet you that shit. I bet you. I don't know what went down, but I don't know if it went down in as nefarious of a way as they say it did. You know what I mean? Like it was the fucking 70s. Maybe these women like were okay with, like, you know, the drugs and shit, but or maybe Bill Cosby drugged them. I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. Only those women know. But it just seems very coincidental to me that they hold this shit in until he tries to buy fucking a major news outlet. Because
I think those two topics, they're completely separate in a way. But I mean, again, if there are 48 women coming out, dog, something is up.
Gotta be real.
Something is up. You know what I'm saying? But I agree that, like, you know.
But as far as the impact that had on the black family view, like, especially for people who didn't have fathers, that kind of did, like, God damn, Bill Cosby, what the fuck, bro? Yeah. Like, I looked at you like a father figure, and you just really just went and fucked that shit up. So, yeah, I can see, that did kind of, like, put a dent on the whole possible black family, black father image that somebody who without a father didn't have, but...
Yeah. It just seems crazy to me. Like, it all just seems very... coincidental. I don't really believe in coincidence like that though. So it's like,
Well,
I don't know. It's a whole lot of shit out there. It's just like I don't know. I know that there's so much that I don't know, and I kind of even take comfort in it. You know what I mean? Like there's very little that I know is absolute. Like there's very little that any of us know. It's fucking absolute. So it's just like, why think you know anything?
I got a question for y'all. Kind of tying back into like the fatherless fathers. Do you guys feel that women should get paid homage to on Father's Day?
I feel like single mothers.
well, I did actually have that as a topic, but no, I don't. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't feel like a woman
if we
should
got
be
it as a
paid.
topic, we'll just table for another topic. But on the short term, now that I was raised by a single mother, and I'm a father now, I say absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Like, I love my mother. Like,
But she's not.
Again,
your
But
father.
she's not my
She's not
father.
my
And
father.
I could
I'm
never
sorry.
view her in
And
that
I-
figure.
I'm sorry.
With
I-
me
I-
as
I
a
would
father
just-
now, I just couldn't
Me,
do
and
it.
I
couldn't
see
give
that
her that
now
role.
as a father. I'm just like, I could never do that. I could never pay homage on Father's Day to my mother, even though she raised me by herself.
You're right.
Like, I feel that I can glorify my mother as much as she wants and as much as I should on Mother's Day, because that is her day.
Yeah.
Father's
But-
Day, I feel that is for fathers. But
yeah, I don't want to. Let's not
Well, yeah,
dive
we
too
won't
deep
dive
into
too
that
deep. No, yeah,
conversation
let's
because
get it
that's a topic for another day. But again, this is Man and Dad. Women, the last message I would like to give you all. Please bear with us, because a lot of us did grow up without our fathers, and we are learning on the fly. Hopefully you're with somebody who understands that you didn't grow up with your father, and that you're learning how to have a man involved in your life on an everyday basis on the fly also. Maybe sharing that dialogue will help. So please, again, just bear with us. We have the best intent, and again, thank you. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this episode. Man and Dad, thank you.